Now that we've talked about different types of genres, let's talk about conventions, which is another important aspect of genre. Genres are based largely on what readers expect from them. In other words, when you pick up a text, what do you expect to be there? When you are looking at a play, a script, what do you expect to be there that would not be in a novel? Probably stage directions. What would you expect to be in a poem that you wouldn't find in a biography, or vice versa? These things are called conventions. They're common characteristics of a genre. So stage directions, that's one convention of a play script. Another way of saying this is that conventions are typical features of a genre. Conventions are things that readers expect to see in a text. Quickly, here are some more examples. We talked about plays having dialogue and stage directions. Poems have line breaks and rhyme. Novels are divided into chapters. Biographies often have photographs of their subject. So these are conventions. What about other conventions? Let's look at the genre of birth announcements. We're going to look at a couple of examples, and I'd like you to think about what are the conventions. So based on these two traditional birth announcements, what do you say people expect to see in birth announcements? Or what are the conventions of the birth announcement genre? Here's the first one. I know it's small. It says, "Tiny hands, tiny feet, there's someone new we'd like you to meet. Well, we welcome with love John Knox Larkins IV. Knox, born on March 24th, 2009, 8 pounds, 5 ounces, 20.5 inches. Proud parents, Carrie and Jake Larkins." Here's another one, this time for twins. "Proud to announce the birth of our daughters, Juliana Caroline, 7 pounds, 9 ounces, and Amanda Elizabeth, 8 pounds, 2 ounces, Alexandra and Gavin Smith, big brother Nate, and big sister Emily." What are the conventions of birth announcements? When you get one, what do you expect to see? What are some things that you want to know from a birth announcement? What would you be surprised if it wasn't there? Let's look at some more birth announcements, this time a little bit more untraditional ones. And I want you to think about, how do these untraditional birth announcements break the rules? This one says, "Eviction notice. Please note that you are required to vacate the premises within 27 weeks, as the new tenant is expected to move in on March 10th, 2014. That poor little girl, she's so upset. Here's another one. It's more simple. "Baby, beer." Are these untraditional texts still birth announcements? As birth announcements, are they effective? Some of the things that we would expect to see in a birth announcement are not in these untraditional texts. What happens when a text breaks the rules of its genre? Here's a quote from an author called Joseph Moxley, the article entitled "Genres." And Moxley argues that as readers and writers' expectations change, genres change. For example, birth announcements. They used to come as a piece of paper or a card in the mail, in snail mail. That's how I sent out the birth announcements for all my kids. But today, we might receive a birth announcement differently. You might see it on Facebook, or there might be a website, or you get an email. Moxley talks about this very thing, but with the example of resumes. He says, a resume should provide contact information, education history, and work experience. Yet, even relatively stable genres like the resume can evolve over time, thanks to changes in technologies and social practices. So what are the conventions of genres? When you look at a text, what type of text is it? What do you expect to be there? And what happens if the things you expect are not there? Does that mean it doesn't work? Does that mean it's not effective? Again, here are some sources that I used for this genres and conventions presentation.